Want to welcome everybody to Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship October presentation. Tonight we have with us Mariela Siwarqinti. She is going to be speaking with us tonight on the core wounds and the healing separation from source. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. We're so glad that you found us and that you're attending. And if you've been with us before, welcome back to the SFF community. My name is Smith Prim. I'm the co-chairman for Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, along with Catherine Smart. Catherine is our editor and our writer, and she's with us tonight. Glad to have you, Catherine. And Kim Kasdorf is our media director. He actually assembles the video and posts it up to YouTube. So this will be an experience that you can look back to into the future. So we're glad that you're here. Well, I wanted to mention, too, that if you don't want to be recorded, if you don't want your face or your voice to be recorded, which very few have that, but if you have that preference, just mute yourself and just click your video off and it won't be there. So wanted to let you know, too, that SFF here, we're an all volunteer-run organization. We're here to help you develop and enhance your spiritual, mystical, and metaphysical awareness and consciousness. We do that by sponsoring programs like the one tonight. They're designed to help facilitate your personal growth and development and a holistic and spiritual approach to health and living. Again, I mentioned the recording, so if you don't want to be recorded, please turn your video off or you don't have to participate for the audio. But before I introduce our speaker tonight, what I would usually like to do is just take like a 3-breath meditation. It's very short, but it'll help us discard the things from our day and kind of bring our focus in to where we are now. So if you could join me just in lowering your eyes or closing your eyes for a moment, we're going to do a 3-breath quick meditation. So if you could lower your eyes, take a breath in. Breathe in love and light. And when you exhale the things that are no longer needed for you to deal with today, any extraneous things that are not focusing on where we are right now. And when you take your second breath in, breathe in more love and light and release what is remaining. Anything that's remaining that is not a focus here for our group and our love and our sharing tonight. And our last breath, all love and light, breathe in. And let it fill your heart and your mind and connect them. And exhale. And thank you. And welcome back. So tonight, I'm very honored to introduce Mariela Siwarqinti. She is going to speak with us about core wounds tonight. And I wanted you to know also, she has a website, joyfulunison.com, and she's going to talk a little bit more about ways that you can reach her. She specializes in guiding empaths, highly sensitive people, clairsentients, and natural healers to heal their core wounds and step into true confidence, living in joyful unison from the inside out. From early childhood, Mariela naturally sensed energy and deep emotions. Growing up in Ecuador, South America, and surrounded by shamanic traditions within her culture and family, she developed a natural curiosity about metaphysical subjects, and that led her to study palmistry and tarot. Later in life, through a mix of spiritual awakenings and heartbreaking life changes, she committed to fully exploring her spiritual gifts as an empath and natural healer. She went on to become a certified in multiple energy healing modalities and received formal training in mediumship and meditation. With more than a decade of experience, Mariela has guided sensitive souls to release limiting patterns, reclaim personal power, and awaken their mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. Mariela is the creator of the Inner Alchemy series, the Empath Mastery Program, and the monthly Pathway to Your Best Self group. Her heart-centered approach helps participants gain clarity, experience and healing, and connect with their source energy to live aligned, empowered, and purposeful lives. This evening, she will guide us into the core wounds, healing, separation from source, showing how abandonment, rejection, humiliation, betrayals, scarcity, and injustice are not life sentences, but are sacred invitations to reclaim our power and awaken our true essence. Participants will receive at the end of the presentation a free core wound quiz to begin exploring their personal healing journey. Please join me in welcoming the Reverend Mariela Siwarqinti. Welcome, Mariela.
Thank you. Thank you, Smith. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right. So I hope everyone take a really deep breath because I always have a lot of information and I'll try to make it fun as well, very informative. And it's a good thing that we have at the end the questions and answers. So let me start by saying that I just put in on the chat. If anyone wants to subscribe to my healing newsletter, the information is available there because I do share a lot of information like what I'm sharing today. I'll share it in tiny little pieces through my newsletter. Tonight, we're going to be talking about core wounds. And the first thing I would like to say is that all the information you're going to hear tonight is information that I received through insights. So I know there's some information out there in the internet. There's other experts about it, but this information just came to me, and I'll tell you my process a little bit. 2017 was when I received news that I was going to be receiving information about core wounds, and at that time I didn't know what that meant. But as you heard in my bio, in 2013, I had a really big life change in my life, going through divorce and health issues with a miscarriage and really difficult separation. That's when I discovered that I had a wound of abandonment. So all the information that I received that is in my Empath Mastery program was pretty much information that I received to heal my own abandonment wound and to explore my abilities as an empath and a clairsentient that I didn't know what that was when I was in my 20s or my 30s. But everything made sense to me when all this information started coming to me to heal my abandonment wound and to explore my empath abilities and clairsentient abilities. So tonight, I'm going to add more information about the other wounds because that's the information that started coming in 2022, 2023, 2024. And through my group sessions, I started just testing everything that I was receiving. Everything that I was receiving, I was working on it myself, even though I didn't have the other core wounds. I was having examples of what that felt like in the body of other people. So I would feel it as if I was those people and I would suffer in the way that they would suffer just to test all the insight that I was receiving. So through my group sessions, I was able to test everything in the students that were coming through just through doing exercises to release emotions or exercises to connect with spirit and just sharing the insight that I was receiving and the response that I was getting from the people coming to my group sessions. So this year I received the inspiration to put it all together, and I really have to tell you, I don't know how I did it, but I was able to put it together. And I started the Inner Alchemy series back in June is when I started putting all this together for my students. And tonight I'm going to share all this with you. It's a lot of information, so you're not going to get everything because we don't have all the time, but you're going to have what you're going to hear is how it shows up usually in childhood. And the quiz that you're going to receive is going to give you a better idea of what your core wound is, because the core wound is the one that keeps repeating as a pattern in your life. And it's the one that sometimes people carry from previous past lives. So some people call it soul wounds and some people call it core wounds. And there's a similarity in there because it is related to what you came here to overcome, what your soul knows you came here to overcome. But as a human, you need to have a taste of what that kind of suffering is so that you awaken or activate something in you that wants you to heal that. And there is also the other side of every wound, which is our true connection with source, because all of us here are a little speck of that light, that divine light. And each wound carries the other side of that, which is the divinity. The divinity in you is what you need to discover, and it's where the wound actually makes sense in your life of why you came to experience that, and then you don't suffer by it anymore, or you use it as an alarm instead to know that it's a part of you that needs to have one more growth, because we keep growing. That's the reason why I usually tell people healing is always available is because the soul knows that we can grow and evolve. So if when it's time to grow and evolve, you will, how they say, when the student is ready, the master appears. So that's the reason. It's like, if the soul knows that it's time for you to evolve, then the healing will be available for you. Elements for the healing, the supporters and people for the healing, and you will be ready for it. But the main thing, because we all have free will, you have to be 100% committed to take that healing path, that healing journey, so that it becomes then the hero journey where you no longer suffer in the way that you used to suffer, but you take it as an encouragement of growth. I hope that made sense. So thank you for coming. I'm gonna start sharing my presentation for tonight. So let me just go in here. So and share. Here it is. So just give me a thumbs up. You see everything, right? You see the presentation? Awesome. All right. So I always give a lot of information. I want you to write your questions down. I'm not going to take any questions right now. There's going to be a section for the questions and answers at the end after the presentation is over. If I didn't answer any of your questions as I keep going with my information, then feel free to ask me those questions afterwards, okay? All right, so this is, I want you to read that beautiful, I found this beautiful quote in there by Paulo Coelho. A bird in a cage is safe, but God didn't create birds for that. And I found that this is very relevant to what we're going to hear tonight, because sometimes even the wounds that we have make us stay in a place of comfort. Even though there's suffering, there's also a place of comfort where we think that this is the way it is, and I might as well sacrifice myself my whole life living the way that I'm living, okay? All right, so let me start. All right, so I want to start with the message that I received in Insight. This is exactly how I received it. So I'm going to read it to you. All right, so it says, can't read everything. Give me a moment. All right. God really wanted to have an individual experience with each one of us on earth. We are meant to experience these ones, but we are also meant to return back to the love that is at our core of creation. In doing this, we will experience the most painful feeling only to find the most amazing love that will help us emerge victorious in any difficult situation, knowing that God is always with us, providing the love that we crave, need, and have. So see their pain and see their beauty. Love them in their wound so that they can find a bridge from their pain to their beauty. So that was the message that I received, that I, as a practitioner, need to see people in their pain and see their beauty and then create those bridges so that they can see their own beauty and cross that bridge as well. Okay. So I want to start with this. So the wounds that we have, they don't come from out of nothing. They came out of something. And the message that I received was explained to me with the Genesis in the Bible. And the information that I received, the insight that I received said that, Genesis, it's not just a Bible story. It happens in the human psyche, in our own psyche. It repeats over and over again. So the Genesis story, it's a mirror of the human psyche. And when we transpose the word sin into wound, then we start understanding that the original sin is nothing but the original wound, which is the separation that we think is happening between us and God. Seeing ourselves as a human body and not knowing what God is, and wanting to know what that is, and trying to understand or trying to seek or trying to find a way to know, like, is there a God, and who is God, and what is God for me, and is God inside of me, is God outside of me? It happens from that idea of separation. It's that delusion of separation, but it needed to happen that way because God really wanted us to have our own experience, and God wanted to experience himself the way that we experience ourselves. So in a sense, when a difficult situation happens in our life and we suffer through it, God really says, like, well, I really want to experience how Mariela is experiencing this. She's upset. Okay, she's upset. How is Smith experiencing his life? Oh, he's going crazy. Okay, he's going crazy about it. So he wanted to have that experience, but that's why we have free will, because we're free to make decisions. We are the consciousness that make those decisions. So when we make decisions and if we decide to continue to suffer, then we will continue to suffer. But if we decide that we want to make a change in our lives, then the experience starts to become different. And then we decide to really heal ourselves and thrive, then that's the experience God is going to have. But we are free to live our life in the way that we want to live our life. So in the story of Genesis, in paradise, everything is given: the abundance, the connection, the divine partnership. And then Adam and Eve are created in the image of God, carrying within them the essence of the divine. But then the serpent, and as the story goes, the serpent whispers the great illusion to Eve. It says, you are missing something. You are not enough. You must reach outside of yourself to become like God, when even God himself said that everything is theirs and he's always there with them. But the serpent gives them the big lie that they are separate from God. And that happens in our psyche all the time. When we think we're not enough, when we think that we need to work really hard to make effort to be seen, we think that we're separate from our divinity. So the deception, from the deception births the original wound of separation, the belief that we are apart from source, unworthy or lacking. And then from this, all the other wounds come apart, like abandonment. So in the story of Adam and Eve, when Eve is asked, did you eat the apple? And then same thing with Adam, did you eat the apple? The first thing that Adam does is throw Eve under the bus. And then what happens to Eve? She feels betrayed and abandoned. So then we start seeing how these wounds start happening. So all the wounds in there, the abandonment, the rejection, being rejected from Eden, humiliation, feeling naked, I'm humiliated and I'm out of heaven now. The scarcity, the betrayal. Scarcity is like you're no longer in heaven. You think that you are outside of heaven and you need to work so hard to show that you deserve all the abundance from heaven. And injustice is the same thing. It's like I didn't eat the apple, I was lied to. So, like this is an injustice that I'm being blamed for something that I was told that it was a lie, that I was lied to. And then the jealousy as well, in the injustice sometimes. So in the psyche, we replay all these fractures. And even in this story, when you look at all these wounds, they keep repeating in our lives, not only as a core wound, but also in different situations that we live in life. Because maybe, and I'm going to give an example. So I'm my guinea pig for everything that I'm receiving. I tried it on myself first, and then I tried it on others. So like in my case, when I discovered that I had the abandonment wound, I started working on healing that because my codependency was really strong and I needed to, I was going through a divorce, so I really needed to heal that because I was broken in tiny little pieces because of the codependency, the level of codependency that I didn't know I had, but was feeling it. But after my divorce, was pretty much left with nothing. And I couldn't work for like a whole year because I couldn't wrap my mind around the divorce and separation and how everything went down. I lost my house, I had a miscarriage, so I had a lot of losses, loss of identity, so much. I lost my job. There was so much that I lost that I couldn't even work for a whole year. And I was starting to see the money go and I started to accumulate in debt. So I had the abandonment wound, but then I started feeling what scarcity is, which is something I didn't experience in my life before. So I was seeing how there are core wounds, but there's also wounds that are circumstantial. So I'm going to keep explaining, like, because as you keep hearing this, you might say like, oh, this one seems like it's my core wound, but I also relate to this one as well. It's because one is the core wound and the other one is based on circumstances that happen in your life where you stay too long in that situation that you start creating patterns based on that wound. Okay, so let me go to my next one. So here, so again, if we're looking at the core wounds in the psyche from the story of Adam and Eve and losing paradise, but remembering what paradise is, not being able to reach it unless they work really hard and they do all these crazy rituals and they overwork and they feel that it's an injustice that they were there and now they're not there. So we start seeing, for example, abandonment, how Adam blames Eve and Eve feels abandoned. So breaking their divine partnership. So that's the wound in the psyche. I don't have that partnership with God anymore. I'm not worthy of it. In rejection, then the exile from paradise cuts being cut off of your intuition, your gifts, your abundance. That is the rejection. And later I'll tell you more how rejection is really diminishing your own gifts and losing your intuition, because it's through your intuition that you can access the natural gifts that you have. So it's in the psyche, the way it plays is it hides all that. It hides your gifts, it hides your intuition, it hides your abundance. And humiliation, we see the weight of the shame and remorse, how is it that it distorts the sacred self, because the sacred self doesn't feel shame, doesn't feel remorse. There is no shame or punishment or remorse in heaven. It's man-made. Everything that is shame, blame, and punishment is man-made. It doesn't exist in the divine. So our soul knows that. In betrayal, trust is fractured, separation deepens. In scarcity, that is forced labor, the forced labor that Adam and Eve have to do for the rest of their lives, to obtain something that they want, and still not being able to unite again with God or going back into heaven or paradise. And injustice, given and sacrifice met with disparity. So in injustice, when you keep looking at the story from the Bible, if you see Cain and Abel, how one brother becomes jealous and because he feels there's an injustice what's going on, where the two of them are giving offerings and doing rituals, but only one is being seen and the other one is not. So there's injustice in there as well. So this happens in our psyche every day. It keeps replaying every day when you are unconscious. Once you start becoming conscious of your patterns, how hidden they are and how they're sabotaging your healing and your growth, your evolution. Once you see how they're sabotaging that and you're stopping yourself from obtaining, from more than anything, welcoming new opportunities in your life, that's when you start seeing like, oh, this is exactly because of the wound that I have of separation, thinking that I don't deserve, that I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough of the things that come to me. So you're not worthy of your divinity. You think that you're not worthy of your divinity, or the of the unconditional love, or the abundance that comes with it. Okay. Next one. This is going to be more how it shows up in life. So we see how it plays in the psyche, but then this is how it shows up in life. So here we can see the core wounds, each one of them. So in abandonment, feeling left behind, unsupported, or alone to figure things out. So I can tell you, because I have this core wound, that this is exactly how it feels like. It's not so much that you feel alone or that you feel lonely or that you don't have the partner that you desire. It's really you feel left behind and unsupported. You sometimes feel confused. You feel like you feel that you're responsible to figure things out. And it's very different from the reaction that the other people have with the other ones. So like we see here in rejection, feeling unheard, feeling unseen, or like your choices don't matter. So people that have the rejection core wound may feel abandoned, but for different reasons than a person that has the abandonment wound. So because in people with the rejection wound, they may feel abandoned. They say, I feel abandoned, but the reason is because I'm unheard. I feel unseen. I feel like my choices don't matter. And in humiliation, same thing. They may be abandoned by a partner, let's say, but they feeling like they need to hide. It's because their own fault. It's because they feel remorse. They have shame because they think it's their fault. They did something that shouldn't have been done. So they hide a lot, and they have a lot of fear of um, explaining who they are or what they want, because they're always afraid that they're going to be either shamed or punished or just, like ridiculed. Okay. For betrayal, now betrayal, I have to, I'm going to tell you something very personal. In all my relationships, I don't think I have ever been betrayed because I've never been in a relationship where I was cheated on. So that I know. So I'm going to put that in quotations, that I know. But I've never thought that I was betrayed. But when I was exploring this one, because this is the insight that I was receiving, I this was the one that felt the most difficult to overcome to me, because it felt really sad not to feel that the people that you love have chosen to do the things that you want to do with other people. It felt really difficult to accept that I used to be in a relationship and now I'm not anymore. And even though I accept that, my ex-partner is having a great relationship, doing the things that I wanted to do. So I felt that the betrayal felt really difficult, as if people owe me something, and that people are in debt with me, and it's hard for them to find that trust, to really feel that they can trust fully, because it's with every person and in every situation they feel that they may be able to trust, but only up to this much, and they have this hyper vigilance of what's going on, because they feel as if they need to control the situations or people, so that everything is in balance in the way that they think balance should be. So that's the one that felt the most difficult to me. Now, for scarcity, usually the way that it shows up in life is like people with the scarcity wound, they push and they struggle and they feel that it's never enough opportunities. And it's more about that. They may be working very hard, but they lack to see that there's opportunities they have opened up that they can take. Sometimes they're blind to those opportunities, and sometimes that's how they sabotage themselves when opportunities show up. They may think, oh no, it's a scam. And they don't seek further, they don't seek more information, they don't research. They absolutely think, oh no, it's a scam and I can't go into it. So that's and they rather push and struggle than do more research to find out if that opportunity is a real opportunity that will make them more wealthier, that they can get out of that scarcity one. So this one's a little bit kind of like, they're a bit blind as well in the scarcity one. It's a bit difficult as well. Now, with the injustice wound, how it shows up in life is most of the time you give up, you give all, you give all, and you feel like you're receiving less in return, and there's a lot of frustration in it. I think I put it later in here, and it's even in the quiz. There is a difference. When I see clients, I have one question that I need to ask them, because sometimes when I see clients again, when people are hurting, the main thing that they will say to me is, I feel abandoned. And sometimes, and they can be right, because they can feel that they can, maybe they're going through the struggle alone, or they don't have anybody to talk to, so they may feel abandoned. But one thing that I ask him is, when somebody tells me that, I ask him, so if you think that you don't have anyone, are you sad, or are you angry? Does that make you sad, or does that make you angry? And the people in the injustice wound, they will say, oh no, I'm angry. I'm angry that I don't have the help. And they also notice that other people um, have less work to do than them, that other people have it better. Like I remember I had a client that said that she was very upset because she notices how her family members um, throw her all this work with her mom because she's not married and they are. So they think that because she's not married, she should be the one taking care of the mother. And she wasn't sad about it. She was angry. And she would notice, they think that because I don't have a husband or a family, that I have the time to do all these things for my mom. A person who is truly with the abandonment wound will actually make herself responsible for picking up all the pieces, all the work and the extra work. They will think is their responsibility to do it, and they will be sad that they feel abandoned because they don't have the help and they need the help, but they wouldn't feel angry. Sometimes that sadness can grow into frustration, but they mostly feel that they have to make themselves responsible to do all this work. All right. Now, in childhood is when we can start see all these core wounds. So in childhood, we start, how do I say this? When we're little babies, we don't question anything. We don't question absolutely anything. We don't have the capacity to question anything. And even when we're little children, because as babies, we didn't question anything. Everything happens in the way that happens. So when we're little kids, we take everything as truth. What happens in our house becomes the model that we experience, and this becomes our foundation. So for example, if in this model that I live, my father goes to work and my mother stays home with me, then that's the model I experience. There's nothing else exists outside this. This is my world and this is how it is. It's becoming my foundation, my model. And let's say that I go to my aunt's house as a little child and I see the same thing. My uncle goes to work and my aunt stays home with her kids. So this reinforces the model I am experiencing. So to me, this is my foundation in life. Everything that happens in my childhood, that's where we start developing our patterns because this is the model that we live, and the model becomes it's like the wheels start turning into the way that how we're going to live our life, how we're going to perceive the life should be. And that's when we start experiencing our pains as well. And we start seeing that activation inside of us of our soul says we came here to experience this, but the human is experiencing something completely different. And the child starts becoming to feel this wound inside of them. So for example, here in let's see, for abandonment, um, kids that have the abandonment wound, how they start feeling again, they start feeling, even as little kids, they start feeling responsible, too responsible, especially when a parent is available. And I can tell you that I felt that when I was a little child. I felt that I needed to figure things out on my own, and I'm not supposed to. I'm a little child. So we become sad, and we usually suffer in alone. It's a quiet suffering. In rejection, feeling unseen or imperfect, I am not enough, isolating, holding back the gifts or creativity. These are the kids that most of the time what I've seen in clients is that they have parents that they have a specific goal for their kid. Our family, everyone in our family are doctors. So we're going to start shaping this kid to be a doctor. What's that? You want to play the guitar? No, 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 no. We don't do that in this family. Yes, you may have talent, but that talent is not going to feed you. So these are sometimes the kids that have that kind of childhood where what they feel is important to them is not important to the family members who are caring for them. So because everybody wants to belong and feel loved, then they start pleasing or finding ways. I'm going to find a way to to see if I'm loved in this family, and they start shape shifting or people pleasing for in order to receive this validation and approval and love that they know they should have as little kids. So many times in this wound, they will hide their wounds. And many times when I see clients with this wound, it's funny because sometimes they'll come to me for a reading, and they're the ones that typically tell me, like, I don't know where my life purpose is. And then when we're going to reading, it's like, if you hear that you're very artistic or that you have a talent and a very natural talent, so what is the talent that you have? And then they start saying, oh yeah, like the just today, there was this lady that came and she says, well, and she actually said that. She says, I don't think that my gifts are the ones that will produce any money. I don't think I could get paid with them. And then when we explore it, it was okay, where was it? Oh, she loves to make music and also she loves to write. And when we explore with just testing the energy of each one of them, it was the making music. Making music, it's her talent, and the one that spirit says it's like she came here to give this to the world, and it's time for her to develop it, to get a mentor, to start exploring and start to just refine her the way that she makes music. So but many times these are the people that tell me, like, I don't know where my life purpose is, and it turns out it's inside of them, it's deep inside of them, but because they haven't had the people that value that, then they just don't believe it. And the key is to believe it themselves. They need to believe it first before they other people can believe in them. Now for humiliation, the way it shows in childhood is feeling. So these are the little kids that are very sensitive, and sometimes they're in a structure, in a family structure, where they're over punished. And I have to tell you before, when I said sometimes we all have a core wound, and sometimes it's circumstantial, and circumstantial can also be generational. In my case, again, I'm gonna put myself as the guinea pig and as the example. On my one side of the family, the kids were over punished. And when you are over punished in physical punishment, that brings humiliation to the person. It breaks the soul, it breaks that connection with the soul. Everything that the soul knows, they can't hear anymore. So it's hard for them because they start hiding absolutely everything, and they avoid criticism, even constructive criticism can feel unsafe in their bodies because they have been shamed and they have been over punished. So they usually don't, these are the people that are afraid to be seen and shine and to be very successful because they think it's not safe, because that's what the model showed to them. Okay. Now in betrayal is so I'm going to explain this. I'm going to go deeper on this one because it's not just about being betrayed or people breaking your trust. It's feeling laid down by your caretakers, because this happens again when you're a little kid. As a little kid, you come very connected with your soul. You know that humans in this world have a great capacity for many things. You know it deep inside of you. So when your caretakers don't act that way, you start feeling that betrayal. It's like, you're supposed to take great care of me. You're supposed to be a great provider to me. You're supposed to provide to me all the food and all the shelter. You're supposed to provide all this to me. So when they have experiences with parents that maybe are going through poverty, or maybe they're just not caring for them, they feel offended as little kids. Like, this is betrayal. My caretakers are letting me down, and now I can't trust them. And I feel disappointed. And then, and they push, these are the little kids that push to get their needs met externally. So if they keep carrying this wound, it's like things are never enough for them. My partner doesn't can't reach his full potential. My kids don't reach the full potential. You know, the betrayal can be very difficult, but it's deep inside of them. They know that humans can reach the full potential, but they get stuck into, this person broke my trust, or this person let me down, or this person disappointed me. And it starts when they're little, by looking at their caretakers not meeting their full potential for them. Now in scarcity is feeling deficiency, even as little kids. This one's a very sad one. I'll give an example. I'll give an example. Recently, I had this client, very young, probably in early 20s, hardworking 20-year-old, that I did a healing here, not a reading, but a healing. And in this healing, I could feel his anger, and I could feel how he was stopping himself from hurting others, because that's not what he wanted to do. But all that anger was turning very toxic inside of him. So he was having panic attacks and a lot of anxiety daily, and a lot of even like physical pain on his neck and on his back, because all that anger that he holds inside, because he doesn't want to hurt others. So I had to tell him, and I did the healing and also pulled more cards for clarity. And what I saw in him was that he can't help to see how other people have, and but he hasn't been provided with what he needed in order to succeed. So here he is working really, really hard and getting very frustrated and angry because he can't make it. He feels inside of him he can't make it. And there's a resentment and an anger and an indignation in there as well. But more is like that comparison. They have it and I don't. Why is that they have it and I don't? And especially as little children, it makes them very sad, which in injustice is a little different. In injustice, they get very angry, but in scarcity, they become so sad. But when the sadness is too much, it can become anger, because it becomes bitterness. And that bitterness can turn into anger, and then people can explode because they're not able to release it in a healthy way. But in the scarcity wound, even as little kids, they can't help to compare that other people have more than they have. Now again, in injustice, there's a feeling of not being treated fairly, even as little kids. These are our kids that become, they're going to say it out loud. They're going to say, it's not fair. It's just not fair. And you hear them, they're very vocal. These people, these kids are very vocal, and they're going to say it's not fair. And even as little kids, sometimes they get blamed and or punished, and it's not justified, and they know it. Whenever it is, how do I say that? A preference. The parents may have a preference, but it's really not fair. They will know that it's not fair. So they know very well what's fair and what's not, because they can sense from the inside of them that there's a natural occurrence in life of how things move. They have they feel their natural flow inside of them. So when they're stopped at doing something that they know their flow says like, I should be doing this, but the parent says no, you can't do that. I'm going to put a stop on that. They feel unresolved inside, and to them it's not fair because they know that the natural progression of what they were doing should continue in doing what they were doing. So, and they feel it inside of them, and when they're adults, they become more angry about it. So the key insight in here, like even children with the same parent or environment experience these wounds differently. And I can tell you, like now that I see it in my sisters, it's four of us. It feels like we all have different parents because what the experience that they had inside their body is different the experience that I had inside my body growing up with my parents. And we had the same parents, but we felt that we were treated differently because of the core wound that we carry. We noticed something different, and so that's why we had a completely different experience with the same parents. This one. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, core wounds versus circumstantial wounds. And in core wounds, these are, like I said, the core wound comes from the soul level. It's a pattern, and they arise from the original wound of separation from source and from the early soul imprinting that we have. So what we experience in childhood, and they're persistent. They're repetitive. They keep coming up, and I have to tell you something else. Like this is not only they don't show up only with bad situations happen. They show up even with good situations happening. When we're going through a growth, when we're going through an elevation, they show up, and I'll tell you more about it later. But let me just finish this here. So this is why it's like it's good to know about the core wounds, because if you have a level coming up, you're growing, you're going to study, you're going to do something different, a changing career, the core wound is going to show up and try to sabotage you. So you need to know how is it you're consciously reacting to something good in your life because of the core wound, how it's flaring up, and how to minimize how you feel inside. Okay. So again, these are the patterns. The core ones are repetitive, and it's how we perceive ourselves, how we relate to others as we navigate in life. And these are patterns that our soul came here to heal and overcome and show you the other side of the wound, which is the divine spark of God. Circumstantial wounds, again, they're tied to a specific situation that happened. And especially when somebody that has stayed in a difficult circumstance for too long, or it could be, it could be like going on, like I said before, like my case, like I was going on poverty after divorce for way too long. I couldn't work for a whole year. So I started developing patterns as if I had the core wound of scarcity. So I had to take care of that as well. But they are temporary. They're easier, I would say. It's something that you have to heal, and I don't want to say have to, but it's a journey to heal them as well. But in the case of core wounds, we start using the core wounds as an alarm of something changing in our lives. Like when something's changing in our lives and the core wound shows up again, that's our alarm to start planning how we're going to overcome this new challenge that we have. And also, to say this, when you have a circumstantial core wound, and it can even give you a bigger light on your core wound. When you have as an example, again, in my case, when I was going through divorce and feeling the poverty, I could feel the core wound will be not only I don't have money, I feel helpless and abandoned, and nobody's here to guide me. So that's my core wound, abandonment. I don't have money, I don't have a job, I'm accumulating debt, and that's a bad thing. But how do I feel because of my core wound? I feel abandoned. I feel that nobody's here to explain to me why this is happening, or nobody's lending me a hand to get out of here. And I must take responsibility for all this because I'm alone. Okay, so that's an example of a core wound with a circumstantial wound. So the circumstantial wound opened me up more to see how my core wound was just bleeding. All right. So now again, the good news is core wounds are not a block. They're not blocks. They're gateways to your divinity. On the other side of each wound, you can reclaim an aspect of God within yourself, turning every struggle into a sacred invitation to embody more of who you truly are, what you came here to truly do in this world. So I'm going to start to show you a little more of what that is, what the true treasures of every core wound is. So, in order to truly step into the treasure and the gift of what your core wound is, you must do some alchemy. And by alchemy, I mean transformation. Really accept that path that is not just that you didn't come here just to suffer, or that life is suffering, although there is suffering in the world. Your life doesn't have to be nothing but suffering. And as the consciousness that makes decisions, you experience the world based on the decisions you're making and in the commitment that you have with those decisions, and taking on the path. Even if we will move slowly, your commitment is to continue to move forward. In the way that I guide people heal is like, we don't look at the past, we look at the future. We look from the present, how can you move towards the future? And as you move to the future, you're going to hit a block in there because there's something you need to release from the past. So we don't focus on the past, just healing, 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 healing. It's like, no, we move to the future, and when it's needed, because we're reaching a new level, something naturally will arise that will say, there's pain in here that needs to be released, that needs to be healed, that needs to be transformed, that needs to be seen in a different way, that it needs to be reframed. And without you working on that, you can't move forward because it's just not safe. If you move forward without releasing this, you might receive what you want to, but it might fade away because you don't have the capacity to truly anchor it in your own body, in your own reality. So that's why we move forward. And when something flares up, we work on it with a lot of how do I say this? With a lot of honor. Because we need to honor what arises in us. Because at the core of everything, we are love. And when something arises that is not love, then we work on that, we heal it, we transform it, and then we keep diving in to reach more love, to let more love out of us as well. Okay, so here we can start seeing that in the original wound is separation. When we take the path of the hero, the path of the journey of healing, what we achieve is that divine union, finally feeling that inner worth and that wholeness, no longer seek your divinity outside yourself, but instead you embody it. You know from the inside out that you are truly worth it. You're worthy and you're worth it. I have a beautiful affirmation that I like to say, and that is, I am worthy. What I do is worthy. How I do it is worthy. I am worth it. What I do is worth it. and how I do it is worth it. And sometimes I have to remind myself that. But when I remind myself of that, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. There's no separation between me and the Father. There's no separation between me and my sacredness, because I am from the same place the source is. I am the last emanation of that light. But I came here into this world to live an experience. And that experience, I make choices so that I know what experience I'm living. So for abandonment, when you take the path of healing and the path of the hero, then you remember that you are movement, really, that you trust and you do a forward motion. This is why, remember my core wound is abandonment. So what have I learned? I have learned that I need to make my life the center of everything. My dreams are valid. And people that have the abandonment wound, when we are in the wound or when that wound flares up, because any situation that happens in life or a challenge that happens in life, we tend to leave our dreams behind. So we need to have that forward motion to say, like, no, even though there's this situation happening right now, I am not renouncing my dreams. I am not renouncing who I am. I'm not waiting for anyone anymore. I keep going forward motion. So I stop waiting and I step into my own life, putting my dreams forward, making it the most important thing, and everything else needs to move around that. And that is, how do I say this? The embodiment is, you honor it, you respect it. You respect that. You don't second guess anymore. You say, no, I already signed up for this. I'm working on this, and that's going to have to wait. The car broke down, that's going to have to wait. Whatever happens that might take away my dreams, it's gonna have to wait. My dream is first. Now for rejection, when you do the alchemy here, what it transforms into is connection with the divine matrix. You realize that spirit hears you and moves with you for you, no outer approval interference. So the people that experience the rejection wound, they need to step up into their place in this world, because they came here with the gifts that they have inside of them, because their gifts are a gift to this world. And they need to step, if you look at the world, the interconnection that we have, every human being, if all of us are an aspect of God, we all create a matrix, and that is that energy that we call God. So people that are in the rejection wound, they need to step in and take their place in this matrix and share what they came here with, because it's essential for the whole matrix, to hold the matrix together. So your gifts, your abilities, they are needed in this world. And when you finally transform that rejection, you know that even in a situation where people say no to you, you have to say yes to yourself. You have to take every no as a redirection of where you truly belong, because you need to take to your place in the world. So you're not here to seek approval. You're here to seek your place in the world. So when people tell you no, you say thank you. So it's not here, so I'm redirecting myself to where I'm hearing the yeses. So most of the time, these people, they need to find their soul family. They need to find the people that are like them, so they can start receiving the support and the nourishment that they've been craving their whole life. But their gifts and their abilities have to be the center. So not in abandonment wound is my dreams. My dreams are important. I came here with a dream, with an idea. I'm creating this in the world. I want to create this in the world. And rejection is like my abilities, my natural abilities, whether they're spiritual or artistic or anything. It's what you do that is that makes you unique. What you do that you're so natural at it. Those are important, and you need to take your place in this world for the divine matrix to be complete. We are incomplete without you. You need to step in. Now for humiliation, humiliation is when it's transformed, it turns into nobility and humbleness from recognizing yourself's sacredness. There's a lot of nobility in knowing that you have suffered so much, but you can still find love inside of you. You can still love something that you do. You find it important, you find it valuable. So it's important for the people that have lived that humiliation wound to recognize that they're sacred. They also need to take their place in the world, but they also need to allow themselves to shine, because that's what God is. God is full power. So the people in the humiliation wound, when that wound is transformed, they embody their personal power. There's no more humiliation. Like, they know their place. They're the ones that they will defend their opinion, because their opinion come from a place that is heart-centered, because they live with that humiliation in the past, and when they overcome it, they come from a heart-centered place, and they're outspoken. They step into their true personal power. And even when there's judgment, they meet that with a lot of wisdom and a lot of nobility and a lot of truth as well. Some water. Now, betrayal, the gift of betrayal is the limitless possibilities and self-connection. And I'll explain this. You return to your center and live from within, embodiment of fellowship instead of loyalty. So there's a distinction inside your body between fellowship and loyalty. Loyalty you don't see loyalty in nature, in the natural world, with plants, with trees, animals. You don't see loyalty, but you see fellowship. And in fellowship, there's people that do, what did they do? Companion planting, I think it's called, or let's talk about permaculture. Permaculture is using all the elements that you have around you in order to create a great environment to grow the things that you want to grow. But you use what you have already, and you take advantage, you leverage the elements that you have in order to create an environment where things can thrive, can grow and thrive. So it's the same thing with the betrayal wound. It's like you have when they transform that wound, they step out of loyalty. You need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to give me this, and they step into fellowship. I trust from the inside out. You don't put your trust in humans, you put your trust in God, and you know that God is going to provide to you through humans, but you're no longer demanding specific people to give things to you. You know that it's going to come to you regardless, because you are connected to God, and you will use the elements. You will trust that the elements around you are the things that you exactly need. The people around you are the people that you need. The elements around you, the resources around you, is exactly what you need for the miracles to happen. That's what happened with the betrayal wound. They're no longer controlling. They are manifesting. They feel it, they sense it, they know it's coming to them, and they trust that it's coming. And that goes with relationships as well. They know that everyone around them rules for them and provides to them in what they are seeking. For scarcity, when you finally transform the wound of scarcity, you remember what flow and rest is. So you're no longer pushing yourself, working really hard and overgiving so much of yourself to work so hard, but you start realizing that you deserve to rest. That rest is actually given in nature. Everything rests. We have fall, then winter's coming, so our trees are going to be resting, creating all the energy for the spring so that they can give birth again to new things. And when you are out of that scarcity wound, you respect your flow. There's a flow. Today, my flow is active, so I'm going to take advantage of it. Today, my flow is to rest because I already did the action. So today I need to rest. They respect that. They start trusting in that flow. The light comes in a flow. The God provides that flow automatically in everything that He creates. You see it in nature, and we are part of nature, so we have that flow inside of us as well. When we are more active, we become inspired. When we rest, we allow those dreams to get a hold of us so that we can have that inspiration to take action again. So you start going more with the flow and you start manifesting that flow in your life as well. You start trusting more. And the abundance reaches you because you are following that flow of your soul, the flow of God, the flow of His Spirit. So when you're in the flow, you're in that movement of the flow, then you keep receiving. And you also become generous because you're in the giving and receiving, trusting. Once you trust that it's coming to you, you let those worries out that it's okay for you to give as well because you know it's a flow, it's a flow, it's a flow. All right. Now for injustice, let me see how much time we have. See, I have a lot to say. Let me see. Yes, we're almost done. Okay. So for injustice, when you finally transform it, you finally feel inside you those universal laws, that there's a universal law. So there is a sacred indignation, and that it has to inspire you to take action. But you take action from that worthiness, knowing that in energy, sometimes it is being filtered. And there's actually everything receives the right. There's not only divine timing, there's also divine flow. So you also trust in that, how energy equally moves. Okay. And you finally close the gap of that. I'm not receiving. How come they're receiving? You start also trusting in the divine law that God provides to everything in the amount that needs to be provided in order to thrive. So when you finally understand, no, I'm being provided to exactly what I need, then you start trusting that there's no injustice towards you because you let it open. So you stop seeing everything outside. They're not giving me, or they're not receiving, and they're not receiving. Therefore, because I'm like them, I'm not going to receive as well either. So instead of that, you shift your attention to, no, it's being provided to me in specific ways and at a specific times, because that's the divine law. Divine law says that at this time, this is provided here, at that time, this is provided over here, and I have to be in the right place and at the right place and time and be open and flexible to receive when it's coming to me. So it's more about the divine timing and all the sacred universal laws, being in flow with the universal laws. Now, I think I can add this in here, but before that, yes. So let's try this. It's just too many words. I can give a lot of information. So let's just do this very short meditation just to feel it in your body. Feel the possibilities of that, even though the wounds don't feel good, all these feelings that we have inside of us, they must serve us for something good in our life. So let's do that for a few minutes, okay? So I want everybody to just take a deep breath and feel comfortable wherever you are. You can close your eyes. I can speak here to you, and I'm gonna do a very short meditation for you. Okay, so just close your eyes. Make sure that your palms, the palms of your hands are up. That's like a sign that you are willing to receive. Maybe have your legs in a 90 degree or in a place where you can feel grounded, either by feeling your tailbone on the chair or your feet on the ground. And just make your back very comfortable. Okay. Explore these core wounds in a way that we see it can benefit our life. Okay, so take a deep breath, breathing through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Big breath. And breathe in again. And breathe out. And put attention on your breath, how it goes in and how it goes out. Now I want you to visualize yourself as a beautiful crystal turned into a gem. You can visualize yourself as a crystal in any color you want to visualize. But I want you to start seeing all your cuts, all the cuts around you as a gem. How many cuts would you have if you were a gem? If you were a beautiful crystal? How many cuts would you have? And can you look at all those cuts around you? Just explore yourself as a crystal. Every cut has been chiseled on you by the master artist, which is God. God is always chiseling you, creating a cut. The masterful artist is always at work. And all those cuts, sharp and precise, they reflect the light of God. So take a deep breath. Every breath that you release, from every cut, release the fear and allow the light of God to shine through. Breathe in the light of God and breathe out the pain from the cut. See how the light reflects on the cut, on that sharp edge. As you breathe in, let the light in. As you breathe out, let the pain leave. You were cut to reflect the light, not to keep the pain. So give yourself permission to take in all the light that you've been craving, all the light that you've been seeking, and all the light comes in you now. Give yourself permission to see it in your mind's eye, to visualize it, to open your eyes and receive it in you. So permission to shine that light, to reflect that light upon the world. It's not about the cut or the pain, but what you can do with it. So allow your gem to shine as bright as you want to shine. It is your gem. It is your crystal. It is your vessel. So breathing light, and as you exhale, shine a little brighter and a little more. Give yourself permission to fully shine. Breathing light, breathe out and shine. When you're ready, open up your eyes. Raise your wounds as gateways to power, wholeness, and beauty. Hope you like that. And now, that's where the healing journey begins. I'm going to provide a quiz. I'm going to put it in the chat. The quiz is going to help you uncover which wound is the most active in you. Again, you may have circumstantial wounds, so think of the ones that are more repetitive, the ones that you have seen it since childhood. I'm sorry, the quiz to discover which ones it's more active for you. Then again, want to share this. We didn't mention this in the beginning, but you actually have the opportunity to work with me. On October 11, I'm going to be teaching empathetic energy healing. You can learn this. This in my private sessions and my group sessions is exactly what I use. It's very simple, but it's very, very powerful. Because what it does is connects you with the energy of unconditional love, but instead of healing other people, you receive this energy yourself first. So it starts to create a balance inside of you because most of the time we overgive or we overdo, we tend to overwork or overgive. So when you start receiving in empathetic energy healing, that energy becomes more balanced because you're receiving instead of giving. And also because we're very connected to unconditional love, we feel unconditional love. I guide people to feel it in a very tangible way so that you can measure it and you can start creating that tangible connection with unconditional love. So for healing core wounds, this is a great tool. It's in the private sessions that I'm going to introduce later. We're going to go deeper. There's going to be even energy healing that I'm going to be doing. I'll do for you. Empathetic energy healing, however, is simple to learn, simple to do at home. You can do it daily. And I'm having a lot of good response with my clients and my students with empathetic energy healing. So now I put it in everything, in every series or program that I have, or even in my one-on-one experiences. It's part of my group session that is monthly. In my community of empaths and clairsentients, we use this as our practice to have our be very connected to the guidance of spirit and also release whatever we have picked on as well. So I'm going to be teaching this on October 11th, and through SFF, you can if SFF can share the links on how to register, because there's only 10 spots for the class, and it's next week, October 11th. It will be at Energy Essence. So again, between the quiz and empathetic energy healing, that can be the beginning of your healing journey. And now for those people who are ready for a deep shift to really, do the alchemy and transform, I'm offering a private 4-session journey to wholeness. And this is where we're going to walk step by step into embodying the divine aspects hidden in the core wound. And this is going to include 2 full energy healing sessions that I will do for you. Plus, it has the mentorship. I like working with affirmations, what I call soul level freedom affirmations, that is going to be tailor-made for you. We're going to tweak them, we're going to keep shifting them until they're more integrated in you. So this is there's only five packages that I did for this time. So same thing, you will have to sign up through SFF. If they can they should be able to put the links in here so that you can sign up for them, or you can always check with me. I'm gonna put my information in here, and you can go to joyfulunison.com to see more of that as well. It doesn't matter which door you pick. The most important thing is to pick a door and start somewhere. And if you really feel that it's time for you to leave the pain and receive the light. All right. And the next one. So here it is again. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I knew I put my information here. So this is what I always say. Healing is always available. And that's where I want to close tonight with that. Healing is always available. Always, always, always. That has been my message, the message that I personally receive. And it has also been my experience. The very wounds you carry, they are the treasures that will set you free. And you don't have to walk this path alone. The Spirit is always with you. And I will be honored to walk it with you. So I invite you to take the next steps, which is, take the quiz, take the class, take the session. And here's my information. The reason why I call my website and my practice, my company, Joyful Unison, is because I know that you can be in joyful unison with your mind, your body, and your spirit from the inside out. You can heal, you're aligned, and thrive.
I wanted to say something, Mariela. I was unable to load that file from my computer. It's not allowing me to do it. The quiz.
Okay, so then let me try to do
Can
it.
you try to?
Yeah, okay, let me try it. Yes, because I definitely want you to have all that. And we have a little break, right? So I can do it while we have the
Yeah,
break. Okay,
right. We're going to take a break.
Okay, so let me just finish now. I just want to say, just to close the presentation, I would like to thank the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship for inviting me to present and for organizing this event. Thank you very much. So we'll say there is a link in there that you can save for to subscribe to my mailing list, and that's usually where I provide a soul level freedom affirmation. Also, I do the energy update for the week, which I do. You can pick your card. I do that, and also the information for the events that are coming up. So, let me see. Oh yeah, it's 8:31. I did it good. Yay! Thank you very much for your time. So we're going to go on a break and then come back. If you still have questions, then I'll take your questions. Thank you very much.
Everyone, thank you, Mariela, for your presentation. We're glad to have you tonight. If we could just give her a quick hand from where you sit and where you are. And thank you.